And so right now we're flying kind of blind on what that budget is, and we're flying blind on exactly what they might do with trying to help anyone in the Grow Your Own program. There was also an administrator.
So what were the 2 grants? Was that one of the, you said there were 2 grants?
There were actually 3 total. Grow Your Own was $300,000. And then we also have a Latinx grant and an LGBTQ plus grant, and chances are those were cut by 50%. We don't have a contract from ODE that specifically gives us a dollar amount. We just know that the entire pot was cut by 50%. At the state level, COSA was also managing an administrator scholarship program so that we could get underrepresented educators into administration across the state, and that grant was also completely zeroed out.
But that
was
did that impact us?
It impacts somebody sitting at this table that was benefiting from that program. Yeah. Yeah.
Got it?
Yeah. So it does. I mean, it does, because you do this. We're having a hard enough time recruiting individuals into administrating in administration. The research is very clear that if kids can see someone that looks like them, sounds like them, talks like them, has their similar background, story, and experience, they're far more likely to stay in education, to continue in education, and we've lost those opportunities. A notable success was the calculation modernization bill, which other social service agencies are now looking at as a model, because they now have to calculate our current service level for the next biennium based off of the 51%. And so I included, if that hadn't happened, we would only be receiving 10.8 million for this biennium instead of 11.4. So that's definitely a success. The governor, and I'll talk a little bit about this so that you can kind of understand, the school districts are really having a lot of angst over this. The governor opted to sign an executive order instituting a bell-to-bell ban on cell phones. There were many educators that were trying to craft this bill in an appropriate manner. The fact that it was done in an executive order is quite difficult for a lot of superintendents to explain to their school boards, because our governor is our state school superintendent. And so unlike other states where they have an elected state school superintendent, our governor can give an executive order and it must be followed. And many of our superintendents around the state have been spending a lot of time talking to their boards about the fact that at the federal level, if an executive order is given, it is not law. But in fact, in this state, when our governor gives an executive order, it does have to be followed.
And how long has that been in place? Has it been?
This just happened.
No, I mean the law that we have, that they have the power. That they have the power to give an executive order, and it's law that we must follow.
Well,
how long has that been in our constitution?
Our governor is our state school superintendent.
Okay,
Our actual state school superintendent is an appointed position by the governor that simply works for the governor. It's just a different way.
Decades.
No.
No, it hasn't.
No.
12 years.
It changed.
Other changed 15 years.
At least 15
Yeah,
years
I
ago.
was gonna say 2013.
We used to
It was-
have
It was
a
doing something
elected.
along.
Yeah.
That-
California and Washington have elected state school superintendents. Oregon used to and does not anymore. So they changed it. So that has been met with some very mixed reviews and it's a big challenge for our constituent districts to figure out. They have to have policy in place by October 31st, and practices have to be in place by January 1st of 2026. And so it's a lot of processing to do for our school districts.
So Paul referenced, yes, we got 11.4 for the general fund,
Right.
but there's a lot of dissatisfaction with the total pot. So besides the grants you talked about, what other ways was K-12 negatively impacted financially? If you have that on the table.
I have it in a piece of paper here for you, Doug. Let me figure out which one. That's the one. This is the one. Yeah, I mean, I can show you what they received as far as high school success and early learning and summer learning. What I don't have is if it was an up or down from the previous biennium.
So
I can-
which ones do you think were negatively impacted? It
So,
doesn't have to be precise, but just kind of order of magnitude, some of those that are impacted
for our K-12 or for in general?
for public education.
Yeah, for public education, we did not see the increase that we needed to see in early childhood special education or in regional inclusive services. And the regional educator networks were cut by at least 14%. We had very, very good forward progress in increasing the special ed cap and increasing the amount of reimbursement for high-cost disability. And that was all completely tabled after the May revenue forecast. So there's no increase to special ed cap or high-cost disability at all. And so for districts, that the average is now 14 to 15%. Dufert, for example, is at 19%. And so the rest of the money to educate those students is coming out of the general fund. And high-cost disability, depending on the number and when you listen to ODE, districts are being reimbursed only somewhere between either 29 or 40 cents on the dollar. And the first $30,000, they don't get any reimbursement. And so, for example, North Wasco School District has a student at one of their elementary schools that needs a one-on-one nurse. And that comes out of their general fund until they've reached that threshold, and then they only get reimbursed for a small portion of it. We were making really good progress with special ed. We had lots of special interest groups behind us, and the May revenue forecast, just everything changed after that. Yeah, that's state. At the very same time, at the federal level, preparations for the 26 budget were underway. The final outcomes are still pending from the legislation that was signed on July 4th. My understanding is that those things are in committee at this point. But what we also know is that 5 elementary and secondary education acts are under review. And they are grants that were already congressionally allocated for K-12 education. Title 1C, which is migrant education, Title 2A, which is highly qualified teachers and staff, Title 3A, which goes to support students who are learning English as a second language, and 2 of the Title 4s, one of which is 21st century. And that's where, at this point, there's been a lot of work that's been done at the state level already and at the national level. We had some pretty much kind of overnight emergency superintendent meetings, of which, like on the 30th of June, we had 175 superintendents, because our constituent districts, Title II and Title III, are very important for them. Those are not funds that an ESD typically gets. And everyone across the state benefits from migrant education services. There are only about 18 or 19 consortia for migrant education across the state. Most of those contracts are held by ESDs. A few of them are held by some of the bigger districts, including Hood River County. Oregon, just in the amount that gets allocated out to districts and ESDs, it's about $22 million. We have a little over 1.5 million in our Title 1C grant. So I've already actually met with the migrant team, anyone that it was a voluntary meeting, with our association president, and I had human resources representation there too. We're meeting with them again tomorrow. I'm doing my best to answer questions, to field questions, to take questions that they have back to the State Department of Education. I've submitted our information to COSA. We are now one of 24 states that's suing the federal government for them to release these funds. But at this point, we are unsure about whether or not we will have access to any of those funds after September 30th.
And Doesn't the federal government, Congress have to act on their appropriations by a certain date? Because there's a lot of things that are blocked, and if they don't block them, they will automatically be released. That's just what I heard on the radio today in reference to some other stuff.
Yeah, and I just read an article today that talked about 3 different ways, either to withhold, rescind, and that is not something that I've heard or mentioned in one of the meetings that I've been in. Obviously the challenge beyond the human component that's going on, and I don't want to underscore that, is that the reductions to all of our special revenue accounts are a little over $2.6 million just for our ESD. And our budget is a little over 18 million. And then remember that when we get grants, depending on what the stipulation of the grant is, we're allowed to take an indirect rate that allows us to run the organization of the ESD. And so it's almost 2.7 million. 215,000 of that would have gone into our general fund to allow us to run fiscal, to allow us to run the superintendent's office and human resources and our technology department. And so it is a challenge at the organizational level. It's very much a challenge at the human level. I've talked at length and tried to answer as many questions as I can from staff and from the association. I did talk to 2 of our 3 Wasco County superintendents today, because for 21st century programming, that we're basically the agency that sends the money out to our 3 Wasco County districts, and they use that money for after-school programming. And so I need to meet with the 3 of them so that we can determine how we're going to begin to message to families that these funds are in jeopardy. Not only for migrant services, but potentially for a lot of their after-school programming, because it comes directly through our 21st century grant. We get about $425,000 a year for that grant. So the 2 Supreme Court cases of the last week or so, sorry, I thought you didn't think you were going to have fun here tonight, did you? We prevailed on E-rate, which is good. There was a challenge that E-rate was unconstitutional, but we did not prevail when it comes to the Department of Education. And at this point, there's a very aggressive agenda to dismantle and defund, moving major departments under other departments. The doors can't technically get closed, but for all intent and purposes, there would be nobody working in the building. They talk about that all of the Office for Civil Rights would go to Justice Department, that overseeing college student loans would go to the Treasury, that the IDEA grants for students with disabilities would go to Health and Human Services. I mean, there's very definitely a plan. I read an article today from the AP. There's very definitely a plan to move the departments out. And that has a clear path to continue to move forward.
But there's no plan to reduce funding for IDE.
No, IDEA in Title 1A made it through the one big, beautiful bill. Many of the other grants are, the proposal is to put them into a block grant so that the money would come to the state and the state could decide how it was to be spent, and the block grants would be significantly less than the totality of how they've been funded in the past. And then there are 5 that are not named at all, and those are the 5 that are currently under review and being held for distribution currently.
Well,
Welcome to board chair.
If you
More
hear,
questions?
if you hear things, if you have questions, please just email me. I will do my best to get you answers. It is tough. We're being faced with huge cuts to families, to students, and to our own staff.
The protection of things, that IDEA stuff, the Department of Education that has protected the rights of
our special ed students, and I have zero faith that moving it to health and human services is going to protect that. I mean, that's really under attack. And they're saying super creepy things like, let's keep a log of people with Down syndrome, people with autism, which is just straight out of the Nazi. And it's just chilling.
My dad, 3 days before the governor made her determination on cell phone usage, the OEA Government Relations had a conference call.
Yeah.
I was in on it.
You were. It was on a Saturday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
I will have to say that I don't think anything we said had any influence at all on the governor. We tried to make sure that the parents had input into the process. We tried to ensure that the students had an option of being able to say, check their phones in and out as they felt necessary because of medical or maybe even physical needs. The governor was close to that. So kind of like it's my job and I'm going to do what I want. I think it was a reaction to the fact that she has no power to take the federal purse strings.
Okay. Anyway, shall we move on? When it comes to.
When it comes.
Thank you, Dana. It's really hard to prepare a report like that and deliver news like that. And I appreciate the thought and energy and passion.
Seriously though, you're gonna hear a lot of things. And if you've got questions, I will get back to you. I will tell you when I'm hearing, when I know. The state's doing a good job at keeping us updated. And the State Department is in just as big of a mess right now as everyone else, because obviously much of their funding comes from these title grants that are being held. So there is a hiring freeze, and they are also looking at having to do major RIFs if in fact these things stay frozen.
Yeah, the estimate is if you have not been employed at Oregon Department of Education for at least 5 years, you might as well look for another job,
Kind of reminds me of
no matter what your position is.
one time we was part of traveling, and thinking about our times we saw our Hoosier County School District over states going through. We wouldn't have levies passed, and the state had no money, and we had hiring freezes, and people were let go if you didn't bring a permanent teacher, and then they even moved people around. So we haven't seen that for a few years, but we remember, what was it, the 80s we got hit so badly?
Safety news. I just remember the strike in '78. So
Yeah.
This was so different though. This just has an edge of cruelty and a privatization. It's-
Vindictiveness.
Yeah, before it was just, we need to tax people higher and that's not popular and bonds aren't passing and all that, but this is targeted and it's racist and misogynistic and just,
Well, we're not being able to pass levies either, like we're running the battles, that law school can't come out. That makes it hard.
It's going to be harder.
yeah.
And better than I put the cheek back in the bottom. Back in a few years, that may be possible.
Has the governor had any other things that she's mandated? Authority of like cell phones or other things coming down the pipeline?
No.
That's the big one. That's just it.
Yeah.
One of the few things she had total control over.
I was just reading about, we were talking about Hood River is the state of Oregon #1 for the inability for people to live there because of,
Oh, yeah.
of the price of land
Yep.
and that. And I'm thinking now we have people from the State Department that maybe they can go to the Department of Health or somewhere, wherever they're going, but other than that, they're not. And then you're going to have all these, then you're going to have kids not going. We're not going to get the attendance revenue, have all kinds of.
We know public education attendance demographic is down. There are fewer kids being born. And there's a continued reduction in immigration, you're going to see it further.
There are some states that are being bankrupted because the tax revenue from the immigrants who are fleeing because of the state's policies are just undermining the budget of the whole state. It's just a lot.
Well, and the states that are being most impacted by federal cuts are the states that really have a lot of reasons, tend to look in the southeast. So.
Certain states even have certain counties that have certain pockets that are more so than others.
Well, let's move on.
Onward and upward.
Sorry, Vanessa.
We do have money in the bank, Vanessa, so that's good.
And we have nice employees that are willing to do the best they can in all the departments.
Okay, Vanessa.
Thank you, Chair Nelson, and board members and colleagues. Thank you for continued patience as we work through our financials. As I review our records, I'm still identifying issues in our accounting practices that need to be addressed, and I'm continuing to catch up on outstanding items. So, as you know, things are changing daily, and when I wrote my report earlier, I was a bit more optimistic and on where we stood. We're not quite finished with closing out this year, and I promise to keep you informed on the progress and take that necessary corrective action. So I don't have detailed financials for you today. I also recently spoke with our auditor about a matter, and will probably result in a finding, which is not ideal, but it does highlight the need for some continued training with our directors and staff. So, and I think maybe some stronger internal controls, but we're doing our best to work through and get caught up and then get to through fiscal year end. We've got the final payroll completed, purchase orders have been reviewed and closed. Our grant claims have been submitted for the most part. We are starting to prepare for an audit, but I need to get the final budget submitted to ODE first. We are currently right now working on the first payroll year. I will be in OASBO next week, attending, graduating the School Finance Academy and beginning my participation in the Leadership Institute. I think that's important. I didn't put that in there because I totally forgot that next week was when I'm going to Bend. And I also received an Emerging Leaders grant that I'll be sending a resolution to you next month. So I can spend those funds, those $2,000, and it basically pays for the expenses to go to Texas with the Association of School Business Officials conference, and I'm looking forward to doing that. So,
And you still have that mentor from OASBO that's helping you through
Yes.
this process.
yes, I do. So,
Did
you need encouragement too, so that you can go on.
we just finish an audit?
right, yeah, we did, but unfortunately we have a pre-audit, and then October we're hoping to get the next audit done.
Oh my gosh,
That's
it
our-
seemed like we just
Yeah,
see the thing, no rest for the weary.
No, definitely not. So in our bank account, you can see there's what we have. Actually, we received a little bit more than that in the local government investment account because we do receive some taxes and state school payment. So we do still have some for now.
Okay, all right, thank you. Kip's not here, sorry, you are.
Yes,
Oh,
he
he's
is online.
online. Oh, okay.
Is that handsome guy in the right hand?
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Paul Zastro, for your service and guidance over the last few years. I really appreciate that. It meant a lot. And good evening, colleagues and board. Our board report tonight, I'll just read what I have here. We have no posted positions at this time. We created a memo of agreement with North Wasco over the summer to provide nurses for their summer rise program, which was really fun. It was last minute, but we got it done with the help of Amanda and Susan and Dana. So Dr. Bernal was really happy about that. The good news is we're in the third year of our Oregon Wellbeing Grant, and that is $15,000 that is in the bank. That cannot be clawed back. And we're going to spend that on we're going to spend that on our folks this year to provide meals at in-service, another spring picnic that you all attended. That was really nice. So do that again. And then we're going to do a fun pet calendar that everybody could have and think about good things throughout the year. We distributed all contracts for admin, license, and confidential staff over the last week. And then our HR team, Mercedes and Susan, we're planning this fall in service, which is on the 28th of August. And we're going to have a nice meal there. So if the board would like to join us, I'll make sure you have the info on that if you care to join us for that one. It'll be in the park again, Cirrhosis Park. And then Susan and I had a blast. We attended a 4-day OSPA online seminar for Oregon laws and requirements taught by Brian Hungerford that was really timely for what's coming down the pipe for us. So I want you all to know that your HR team of Mercedes and Susan is prepared to deal with whatever comes our way and treat any affected employees with the dignity and respect that they deserve. So I wanted you to know that and adhere to the CBA. We're going to work closely with Josephine's team to ensure that happens. And we go by the rules, but we also treat people fairly and as much, like that. So I thought that was important to say. Personnel report. We hired those nurses for North Wasco. I want to say their names because you'll hear them again. Shauna, Gina, Nicole, and Lindy temporarily for the summer program. But as Amanda will probably update you in a little bit, they're going to be joining us for our nurse program, which is really exciting to bring 5 new nurses on board in this environment. Communications, we're beginning the talented checklist for the year. It's always weird to say beginning of the year in July. I'll get used to that at some point. And vector training is going to start soon. And that is all I have. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Stan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board. And I'd like to also extend a thank you to Paul for the last year of service, last couple of years of service to us. I'm going to actually read my report tonight, which I don't normally do. I try to just jot notes, but I wanted to specifically read this one. The technology team that I have within the department is an exceptional group of individuals. They are dedicated, resourceful, and consistently willing to go the extra mile to ensure the overall success of the department. Over the past few months, they have truly demonstrated their commitment by stepping up to take on responsibilities outside of their usual scope, all while maintaining a positive and collaborative attitude. Their flexibility, resilience, and problem-solving mindset have been instrumental in navigating some recent challenges within the department. I can say with full confidence that this is a team that rises to meet any situation head-on, and in doing so, continuously strengthens and improves the overall program. Some key things that we have done over the last couple months that we finally wrapped up. We did a major backbone upgrade to our server infrastructure, started a wave of new summer projects. We hit some key milestones and some technology policies that we were developing. We met some device readiness for the summer school programs and did some modernization within the infrastructure of our schools. This is going to set a strong foundation for the rest of the summer schedule and will be giving us a good start to the next school year, despite some of the staffing changes and new challenges. Recently, we had an external audit done, and they did have some suggestions listed some strengths, some challenges that we will face, and some uh, other highlights, which I will prepare and send out that can be shared with the board resignation within our department as well. And so that with that, this team really stepped up. I really want to give a shout out to everybody on that team. Ben File, Jack Bonham, who was on here a few minutes ago but has since popped off. Chris Langdon, Joel Reese, Matthew Sight, and Mark Rickett. Have all done, I mean, they completed several networking and hardware upgrade projects. We have completed a lot of Chromebook repairs for the students. We have completed some of the tech policy agreements we have completed all the technology usage agreements for North Wasco. ESD will be finished up this week. And we are an up-to-date backup system for our servers and all of our data. We're still working through a couple things with that. We should have it finalized. We revamped our whole server infrastructure and changed the back platform on that and tails. Or else I'd be here for quite a while. What I'm going to do is I've got this summarized. I will send it on to Susan and she can share it with the board members at another point. At this point, I would like to entertain any questions you may have.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Sure.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board, colleagues. It's nice to be here with you tonight. Well, the hub has been busy. There's been no real break in momentum for us. We just keep on pushing on through. We are, one thing that has happened recently is we did receive the new rule set that identifies the role of the Early Learning Hub, as well as the director, as well as the Hub Governance Council, and then the backbone entity. So with everything that's going on, I have not had an opportunity to review that with Dana yet, but that will be coming soon, just to make sure that we're all informed about all of those new definitions. I also, we have received some grants and some not. We did receive a portion of our coordinated enrollment grant thus far. That was for 9 months. So recognizing that there are going to be potentially cuts to preschool promise and not knowing where those are going to land, the DELC has put out the contract for 9 months. And they are looking to scrounge up other dollars as well as figure out how those money will be divided before getting our next contract in March. We also did receive and that is signed and submitted. So we're working on our budget to get that in the next few days. We also received our grant for the infant and early childhood mental health consultation work, which is under the Every Child Belongs program. And we have not signed that yet. There's some pieces on there that I am hoping to meet with Dana about this week to get some clarity before we move forward with signing that. So once we do sign that, then the money that's about 347,000 for the biennium. Our other contracts with DELC, those begin in October, and so we won't hear about those contracted budget numbers until probably August or September. It is enrollment season, so we're working hard at enrolling children in preschool promise. We're getting about 10 applications a week. We're currently about 60% full across the region. And the areas that are not full are the Dalles, Maupin, and Hood River. So, and possibly Condon Early Learning Center. So we're looking to, we're using different marketing techniques. We have a new Spotify ad on now. We have a YouTube on now. And we are working to just get the word out. In August, we'll be hitting the streets, and each one of our team members will take a portion to do some on the ground marketing of going into doctors' offices and parks and playgrounds and libraries and anywhere where children gather to make sure that families who need that the most will be sure to get that, if even if they don't get digital kind of advertisements. And then the second to last thing I'll mention is that our Parent Leadership Council has been really hard at work. We are about to launch our first ECFA, which is Early Childhood Family Ambassadors Program. Our goal is to do 4 of these events a year. We had a practice one in May. We are ready to go. We have our data sharing tool. And so the goal will be to collect information from families, even families that are not part of our PLC, by tapping into friends of our families that are, and gathering data, theming that data, and then bringing it to you and bringing it to other boards to help inform our investments. And then the last part I'll mention is that we are getting ready to have a hub baby. We are one of our administrative assistants, Nick Reel, is going to be going on maternity leave on or before August 4th. So we are working hard to kind of pin down support and make sure that we don't lose our momentum while she utilizes her FMLA and OFLA. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Kristen?
Good evening, Chair, board members, and colleagues. Tonight will be a short update since most of our staff are enjoying their summer vacation. So things are really quiet in the early learning department in July. We did at the very end of June had some of our early intervention specialists go over to OCDC at the beginning of Migrant Peak program and complete evaluations over there. For any children who may have come in that were identified with a disability. And so then that goes home with them. So then that way they can access services in the county that they live in. We did a ton of ordering for the end of the biennium, and those supplies started coming in. So we've been putting those away and working on that. Tons of planning and organizing and cleaning to be ready for next school year. We did finish the preschool staff handbook, and so that was super exciting. That was about 3 years in the making. So that was a monkey that I was really glad to get off my back. And I think staff are going to really be happy about that. We took their feedback from the listening sessions, and anything that they identified as a top priority for them of something that was confusing or they weren't sure about is in that handbook. So hopefully that will add some clarity for staff and our admin assistant and Elizabeth and I. And then we did receive our preschool promise contract for the next biennium, and that looks to be actually an increase in funding, a slight increase per child. So that's good news. Yeah, so that's all I have tonight. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you. Josephine, would you like to? I don't know what role you're here, as interim or as Gaby's.
I can play both. For the rent, because I don't think we got to give an update in June. To Dana's point, we have our GYO person who we're very sad and trying to figure out what to do with, because everything's still up in the air. But we're also doing some very cool things as well, despite all of this. We are working with North Wasco around their responsive classroom training. We team up for doing that. We've been partnering with STEM Hub. We've been partnering with Shira to do work around preschool and kindergarten. We're saying transition, but mostly it's just like getting along and meeting each other and actually having a chance to talk to each other, because there aren't really any opportunities for them to talk to each other in a formal way.
So we're trying to figure out how to best move forward with that project. And we got a minor memorial grant, $40,000 that also cannot be taken away as far as we're aware. So to use to support that, and that goes until January 1st. So we have till January 1st to spend it. And then we also were part of all these things are targeting educators of color. And we were part of like a lead of a conference that took place in June for educators of color, where we had 93 participants from across the entire board. Very cool, and it targeted specifically educators of color in rural districts like ours. So there were about 30 educators from us. So that's cool. And we're just trying to figure out what summer is and what to prepare for August, because we don't know what to do. Yeah.
Thank you. Maury?
Good evening, board, chair, and peers. We just finished up 3 big grants, and I'll just give you some of the numbers for that. The mentoring grant was just for first and second year teachers, principals, and superintendents. Between Dufur, North Wasco, and Hood River, we mentored 35 people for a total of 2,708 hours. In addition to that, we also mentored assistant principals, teachers who were not on preliminary, like charter teachers, third year teachers, and that's about additional 20 people that we mentored there. We also finished up the Safe School and Culture grant, which was to provide training on using verbal de-escalation. And through that grant, we trained 2 local providers, and that would be Tanya Sanchez from the micro department, and then we contracted with Claire Rennett. And through that training, we trained 51 people between South Wasco, North Wasco, and Columbia Gorge GSD. Hood River had their own grant and trained their own had their own trainers, and Dufur also received their own grant to provide their own trainers and training. And the last one was the Safe School and Prevention Specialist. That was a 2-year grant that we had, and Amanda Parrott had that, focusing on behavior, safety assessments, bullying, suicide, and a very successful grant with that. Amanda did a lot of great trainings and finished up with a BSAT training in Hood River. We had about 75 to 80 people sign up, a little over half showed. But it was just so important to get a common language and common systems around when emergencies happen, when people aren't thinking about that. And so how do we support each other between schools and across districts when emergencies happen? And then the other good piece of news is Azaria, the Native American Family Liaison. She's moving from the Special Programs Office into our office. So she'll be part of the Education Innovation team for the next foreseeable future.
Since we've lost some of our mentoring and grow your own programs, we had some teachers who were not fully licensed being supported through your program. What happens to those people, and what does that mean going forward?
So each district has a mentoring program, and we support it in different ways. So like Hood River had 8 mentors or had instructional coaches, but because of their budgeting, all of their instructional coaches are back in the classroom. So I don't know how they're going to meet the needs of their novice educators. In North Wasco is contracted with our department, with the ESD, to provide a mentor. That's Haley Elliott. And so we meet with Sandra Harris at HR, and we prioritize the teachers who need that support. Because it's not a grant, we can mentor whoever North Wasco wants. So we mentor third years, we mentor substitute teachers, we mentor assistant principals, whoever we can.
And that funding is?
That's local service.
Oh, that's our LSP.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's LSP.
Okay.
But the piece that you talked about as far as like our outlying districts potentially and teachers that are like on an emergency license, it's a very real possibility across the entire state that we could have particularly rural districts where they have to let staff go because they can't maintain that emergency license. They can't afford to get the final pieces they need and they're going to go with unfilled positions in highly needed areas like special education, high school math teachers, things like that.
And can they still apply for that emergency, under those, license under the circumstances? And
It depends on the specific requirements of TSPC, and what the rules say and how long they've been on the license and whether or not they're continuing to work in a program. I mean, TSPC is its own entity, and it's not controlled by ODE.
Okay, thanks, Mara. Can we bring please, Julie?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board and colleagues. I just wanted to spend a little time tonight to add a little context to a few things in your board packet. The first is a funding award from the Oregon Department of Environmental Quality to the ESD for STEM Hub work. The Oregon Department of Environmental Quality did a needs assessment in the area, and with some stakeholders and forum groups, what was kind of highlighted as a need is for our youth to be aware of career opportunities and awareness. And so the STEM Hub was awarded $25,000 to support career connected learning field trips that will be self-awarded to our 5-county region to allow educators to make some decisions about, career opportunities that they want to expose their youth to. But what's really exciting is a partnership with Columbia Gorge Community College, Vice President Gilbert and Vice President Aparicio, to help fund some of their Metallica Scholars, which are adult students who are part of the Advanced Manufacturing Program. Part of this funding will bring our community, our students, to the college to tour the facilities, practice welding, practice 3D printing, look at tech technologies, and the Metallica Scholars will kind of mentor the younger students. So that's a really exciting development, and that partnership with CGCC likely in August, you'll kind of see that and then run with understanding to provide some funding to help support that program that they provide, which we're really excited. Educators will also get to have kind of a choose your own adventure. So if they don't want to come to the college because it doesn't fit into, their goals, or if they're, maybe learning about natural resources, maybe they're going to visit the Bonneville Dam and we'll be able to fund that. So that's really exciting. Another item in your board packet is actually funds from Fort Rivers Early Learning Hub. And Josephine kind of mentioned that we're partnering to bring preschool and kindergarten educators together. So in September, we're going to be hosting STEM Play Labs, where we bring them together, have shared conversation about STEM learning. And really the goal is to build some opportunities for them to connect around kindergarten transition, for them to build relationships. And we thought the best way to do that was to put some stuff in front of them, let them tinker, let them play, and then walk away with some activities for their classroom. So we're really thankful to Fort Rivers for that, and also it's kind of a partnership to see how that's going to expand over time. And then another item in your board packet, the University of Colorado Boulder. This is the first year we're doing a program called the Teach Engineering Champions. And I put my name in the hat across like a national pool to take Teach Engineering, which is an open source engineering curriculum built by the University of Colorado Boulder, get trained on it, learn about the resource, and be able to bring it back to our region. And there are 10 educators and instructional leaders across the country that are invited to this first cohort, and I got chosen. Awesome. And I'm so excited. But so you'll notice kind of out-of-state travel. It's fully funded by University of Boulder. It's no cost to the ESD, but we'll be able to take that open source curriculum, bring it back, train our educators, have it be something that's no cost to them to utilize. So I'm so excited about that. Congratulations. Yeah, that's awesome. And then finally, at the end of this month, July 29th and 31st, we will be at North Central ESD's New Teacher Academy, providing some professional development in engineering and mathematics to new teachers, either new to the North Central region, or they open it up to just, any teacher to attend. So we're really honored to be invited back to North Central ESD and to be seen as that, professional development provider for them because over the last 3 to 4 years, we've really prioritized that relationship with them, the outreach to that rural region, making sure that our educators east of us here aren't left out of, any opportunity. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
When is your workshop again?
August 4th through 6th in Boulder.
Now, can your teachers, when you come back and teach that, is there a way to give them credit for that or not?
Well, because it could fit into our STEM hub work, there might be opportunities that provide them stipends to come and learn about that program. Not sure what that's going to look like because as every other department, we're waiting on some final funding numbers to allocate, for different projects. But there will be an opportunity even through forums and newsletters and informal conversations that if we can't really provide an in-depth professional development, I'm hoping I learned something that just kind of slowly embeds it into what we already provide them.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm excited. A little nervous, but excited.
But you could provide workshops and provide continuing education. Correct?
Yeah, yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. I have one question, and this is for Shira. The support for kindergarten transition, the funding seems really, I'm going to use the term funky. One elementary will get $5,000, another will get $200. The North Wasco whole district with 3 elementaries gets $5,000. Can you explain how that got divvied up?
Yes. So we were coming to the end of the quarter and had funds to allocate that were unspent due to other programming that didn't happen. And so it was a bit of a rush. And I sent out an email to all of our school districts and said, I have funds for kindergarten transition, as well as the directors here and also to well, it was to all 5 of the throughout the region, as well as superintendents and the ESD directors. Sorry, Alexa distracted me. Said, I have money for kindergarten transition. Do you have anything that you'd like to do for kindergarten transition? Send me an idea of what you'd like to do and send me a budget, and we will try to make that happen. And so folks sent in. Once we started getting resources and ideas of what everybody wanted to do, we were able to chunk out and say this is what we had available. And so that's what they asked for. So we gave them what they asked for, and I will say some were faster to reply than other school districts, but also recognizing everybody had a lot on their plate. We didn't make decisions to move forward until we really, in some of the school districts, really needed like, hello, please come take our money. We're really trying to give it away, and it was a bit difficult to get responses. So I'm really glad that we were able to respond to all the needs. It wasn't a ton of money. It was, I think, a total of $43,000. So spread across all the schools and all the regions. That was what people asked for. And we also did tap a little bit into our birth to 5 early literacy funds just to make sure that we spent all down everything that we could.
Questions about items? All in favor of the consent agenda as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Passes unanimous. On to discussion items. We have an action item to declare a vacancy in Zone 3. As we were informed, the person who had most write-in votes, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess they were votes, declined to the position, so we have a vacancy.
Okay, I would move that we declare a vacancy in Zone 3 for the Columbia Gorge ESD Board.
Any discussion? Speak right after Jack Anderson's.
At
It's
least we
nice
know.
to have somebody not from the Dells.
Yeah.
And then, like 3 or 4 years ago, we had a year and a half where we didn't have someone in that position.
Yeah.
And I was calling everybody I knew at Dufer and Moffitt
And the time before, we had a wonderful gal from Dover. very good. I can't remember her name, but she was.
Work for Azure.
Had her own business. And
So the challenge is Jack lives in the Dalles. He always has.
He does not
Oh,
live in
that's
Tewksbury. Right, I go by his house on my bike. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
No.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion to declare vacancy in zone 3 for the
Aye.
board of directors? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, next, thank you. That's unanimous. Next item is another action item. It's the duties and authorities as well as the regular meeting dates. We have a motion to approve the designated duties and authorities.
Second.
Okay, I have a couple of questions. Mike, where is it? Our auditors of record, there's Acuity LLC. They've been on for how long? We have the end point on contract.
At this point, our contract says it's year to year, and either party can terminate, I think, within 30 days, correct, Susan?
Seems longer.
Yeah, and it was recommended to us by OASBO and someone else that this is working, that we stick with them for 1 more year, since they saw us through what we thought was the most of our audited situations, and that then we consider doing a request for proposal.
And how long?
4 or 5 years, yeah.
And I'm also curious about your obviously where they located.
Portland. I use them only for contract law, obviously. Everything else I
And are there any dates that we need to look at because of the holidays?
Unless you want to look at your, everybody's favorite date, tax day.
Yeah. And I have a question. Do we need to be in August?
Or states that we have to meet every 12 months a year for meetings.
Another vagary of the.
Yeah, because school boards don't.
Well, what's interesting, we didn't meet. I hate to always refer to it as ESC. We never met. And I guess
You were out of compliance.
no, nobody
No,
ever
we
called
just
us on
elected
it.
you.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Well, there you go.
Okay.
If you can get away with it, but we couldn't now because we have to have posted.
We have to have everything.
Could we, for at least the directors, could we give them a pass? Unless they have burning information they want us to have.
I heard a couple things needed to come forward. Christian, you had something. You had something.
Oh, yeah. That's just.
And I see you. Okay. Let's table that idea. All right, all those in favor of those designated duties and authorities as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Proposal on having a district email.
Budget.
AD.
Oh, I'm sorry, budget calendar. Okay.
Yeah, I would move we approve the proposed budget calendar.
Second. And is this the same calendar we basically followed?
This year.
Pretty much.
This year, so kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And did that work well for everybody?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Well, we had a quorum, that's the important thing.
Yeah, all right.
I really liked it. Time.
Okay. Only if we meet on May 26th. If we need it. Okay. All those in favor of the budget committee calendar, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Passes unanimously. Now we go to the consideration for email addresses for board members. And I know Dana or Stan, it's pretty well laid out in the explanation. I don't know if you can review that. Any other comments about this? I have a concern, but I will wait till we hear from.
Yeah, I think it was actually brought forward by Stan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi. Yes, it is with anything that is within communications within the ESD. We are also recommending it for our school districts that in order to be able to secure the emails, ensure that there is not the ability to get that sent out to other individuals outside of the normal ESD, we would recommend having the each school board member have an ESD account so that it can be things that we can add to it is you can have multi-factor authentication added to it, which would protect our data and the information that's being sent your way. It would also provide easier communication. We can have a board group that we can just add all the people to, and then we can send that information out through our secured email system.
I have 3 other emails. I don't want another email.
I know,
I don't need another.
Yeah. I only have one, so I must be really.
So my question is, on one of those emails, it can be tied, it'll come to my Gmail account, so I don't have to log into another email account. And I don't particularly want to go from, because I think you said right now you're on Chrome or.
We have, it's Microsoft that we use for our email.
And I don't want to add another complete system to my system. I don't use, yeah, I'm a Mac person, and I don't want to all of a sudden have to go to a complete different system. So how do you resolve that?
It is web-based, so you can access it through any web browser.
So in other words, for me to access the email, I'd have to be informed that I'd have to go to the web browser to go to the email. Is that what you're saying?
You can get a notification sent to you that you have an email that has been generated, and then you just go onto your account and sign in and then get your email.
Using my Gmail to get into that?
Not using it to get in, but you
No.
just get a notification, regular email, and then you
Yes.
have to go and sign a different email account.
So will that require me to have
And-
Microsoft?
No.
No, you would not need to have Microsoft. You would be able to access it through any web. I know Mac uses
Safari.
what's the web browser for Macs? Safari. You could log into it through Safari. You could, if you have Chrome on your Mac, you could log into it on Chrome. You could log into it on a iPad device, another different type of tablet. You could log into it on your phone. You do not need an application in order to do it. It is browser based. Just like a Google Gmail account would be.
I need to see a demonstration before we go forward.
I don't like the idea.
I'm sorry, this is my last meeting. I will not be coming anymore because I already. It's too much for me to do this year.
I definitely understand. I definitely understand the hesitance to have another email and stuff like that. I mean, I end up carrying 2 phones. I don't know how many email accounts I have for North Wasco, South Wasco, Doofer, the ESD, but security of our data is something that we need to ensure that we follow. The reason for that is if sensitive information, let's say that you received information through your personal email account and somebody else was able to access that email account, then that information would then be shared with people that might not need that at that point in time. And so we are making the recommendation that all contractors, and I'm making a recommendation that to the board as well, that anybody that does business with the ESD, performs work for the ESD, would communicate through a ESD based email.
Yeah, we understand that, Stan, but we'd like to see a demonstration so we know how it fits us practically. Okay? And so
Yep.
I'll leave it and work with you to set something up, okay?
I think I know how to do it because I have words.net, I mean, that words networks. And you just go to Safari, you type it in, you open up your email through them. So would I just be going and opening my email like through Safari for that particular thing?
I'd like to see a demonstration to see how it works. Okay, we'll leave it up to Dana and Stan to figure out something.
Yes, I could do that.
To show us, okay?
Personally, myself, I'm not comfortable with having an additional, I don't need it.
Yeah.
I stop and think of the emails that we actually deal with. My emails primarily have nothing to do with anything that would need security. It's, yeah, I'm coming to a meeting, or, hey, the taxi's ready to go, or that type of thing. I don't believe it needs an additional email
We get
account.
the agenda as an attachment that we
Yeah, that
read.
would be business.
So that's the only business we don't get negotiation stuff. We don't get any executive session information. Just a notice that there's going to be one. And the packet that she sends. I mean, usually in my day, we mailed it, so you got it. So there was no, you got it in the mail, you didn't get it over notice that.
Let's see what it looks like. If it's ease of use, then, okay, that's one thing. But I agree with Paul, it's a rare email that we get that's
Yeah.
very sensitive.
You
And
know,
I think the one issue Stan does raise, if it is, can somebody go through our email to access the ESD? They hack our email, which, and I've been hacked the last few times, and, can they then take that data and come into the ESD servers?
They can't.
And that, we
But only through your email.
They get in your email, then they can go.
But are they going to hack it? The answer is probably not. Because unless you are emailing, the big problem we have with personal email accounts happened down in Eugene with city council as well as the county commissioners. And I think sometimes we over police ourselves to our own detriment. And I don't feel the need or the necessity of having a separate email account.
Let's see what it looks like, and then we can decide.
I feel that Stan bringing up is extremely essential. He's seeing things that we don't see, and he's aware of vulnerabilities. And my job, I work at a funeral home. You can't believe the people that come in to visit with me, that their Visa cards are hacked, bank account's been drawn out, their debit cards the money's gone, they've had their emails stolen. I mean, people it's just phenomenal cases. And so I think if I'm gonna vote with Stan, like if he feels it's important, I'm just gonna say yes, and I'll do it. I don't care what I have to do, I'll do it.
I think we have a difference of opinion about this on the board, because I think there's,
But that's just personally where I am.
I think we need to be thoughtful about how we proceed. Okay, thank you. We'll wait till this will come back, please.
But not
It's
to
not-
us, but not to us.
Yeah. You just have to come to the river to give me a personal training.
Thank you,
Okay,
Stan.
Last item on the agenda is our goals that we approved a year ago. And I think, what's the intent here, David? To reapprove them, to bring them back for more conversation? What's your thinking?
It really is, it's your purview whether or not you want to reapprove them, whether or not we need to do some work on them, but then you setting your board goals then gives me the direction to work on my goals for the year. And so whether this is the only conversation or a first conversation would be
What month did we do that? When were they all?
September
September.
18, 2020,
Wow, so it's a year.
right down the bottom.
Yep. People's Brothers.
I would move that we have a tentative approval, subject to revisiting in, by the end of September's meeting.
Yeah.
I think it was 2 months.
Okay, so give us a chance to review, motion to second. Okay. Discussion, so basically what the board's job then is to review these. We'd ask Dana to review them as well. And probably with her cabinet, our directors, and any suggestions that they might have, where we are. As I reread these, we're in a whole new ballgame in some
I was just gonna say.
Yeah. And hopefully by the middle of September, we'll have a much better view of what would year.
And we may even have an idea what the feds are gonna do financially, may, but don't hold your breath.
I mean, that would be hard to hold Dana to a certain goal or, you know, and if it's just not feasible with what the money situation is or whatever, then she'll be working on other things.
Because right now, I didn't see where we would change number 3 to, instead of seeking revenue, holding on with everything we can.
Appropriating revenue from various sources.
Yeah.
Okay, so all in favor of the motion to review and bring back in September, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Then information items, we have the technology status report for North Wasco. And then just a reminder of the October 1st meeting for when OSBA will be here.
Yes.
And will that, you know, we have some required training. Is that what this will be?
That's what that will be.
Okay.
Okay, explain the retired, there, what would this be? Or is that on?
Oh, on the Oregon School Board Association, their fall regional meeting.
Yes,
So it's October 1st.
yes, I might have that.
For the
dinner. Okay, but I still have not done a class online, so I still need to do that.
And that will be covered at this regional meeting at 5:30.
So
Yes.
it's taken care of.
It'll be taken care of.
Okay, that's it.
Anything else for the good group? Again, congratulations, Paul. Thank you for 2 years of stellar leadership. We appreciate it very much. Thank you. Thank you for your confidence and step into Paul's shoes and hopefully provide us stellar leadership that Paul's provided. Thank you, Paul.
You did an excellent job. Outstanding.
Anything else? We stand adjourned. Thank you.
And we'll meet in August